Hello, welcome to the Justice Producers Cultivation Call, First Seeds. We are so thrilled to have so many justice producers who've come to this call. Some of us are getting to know each other for the very first time, and so this is an opportunity for you to get to know them. Please treat this experience like we are. We are casting wildflower seeds to the world. So while we haven't vetted our friends who are joining us on this call, please, we invite you to do more research to find the best partners to help you grow the specific things you are growing. In the spirit of sharing power, I am now going to share my screen to help us begin with a land acknowledgement. So I'm going to invite everyone to read a sentence, and then the next person can read a sentence. And I'd like to invite those who are off camera, just feel free to unmute yourselves in voice, and we're just going to read this collectively whenever we're ready.
Since our activities are shared digitally, let's take a moment to consider the legacy of colonization embedded within technological structures, including the equipment and high-speed internet, which are not available in many indigenous communities.
Even the technologies that are central to much of the art we make leave significant carbon footprints, contributing to changing climates that disproportionately affect Indigenous peoples worldwide.
I invite you to join us in acknowledging all this, as well as our shared responsibility to make good of this time and for each of us to consider our roles in reconciliation and decolonization.
We acknowledge that settler colonizers and slavers from Europe used stolen and enforced labor of African people to subsequently develop the land that we are working on. We honor the lives of all who endured and continue to endure in the face of settler colonialism and white supremacy culture. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now and invite our justice producers to introduce themselves. We're also doing an exercise of shared power. So we're going to be lining up via chat. Just put your name in the chat and then you'll know that you're the next person to speak. We're also going to be doing shared timekeeping. We each have a few minutes to share about our practice. At the end of 3 minutes, one of us will start putting our hand up and others can put their hands up. And if you witness a whole bunch of hands up, that's just an invitation to softly transition and share the mic with someone else. Sound good, y'all? Excellent, let's get started. Should I start us since I gave us that long? I should model. All right. Hi there, I'm Claudia Alec. I am Lee, and if you could repost the directions, that would be super, super useful. Thank you so much. My gender pronouns are they, their, she, hers. You can use those interchangeably. I am speaking to you from the land of the ellos-he people. The people are still alive. I also, at this moment, just in terms of a decolonized beginning, I tend to acknowledge that we have concentration camps in our country right now. And it seems like a good moment to say that's a thing that's happening. My access check-in is I am physically disabled and I have a pain disorder, which means sometimes I'm pulling a face. I'm never pulling a face at something you're saying. Generally, if you see me frowning, it's because I'm having a muscle twinge. Other than that, my access needs are met, although we are living in a time of pandemic, racial uprising, and deep loss. So I know as myself and many others, we are in the midst of grief. So there might be a time where I turn my camera off, and I'm so pleased and happy to be doing shared leadership with my colleagues. Many hands on deck makes for stronger resilience. My justice practice is one that is both, well, my company's motto is we do transmedia producing performances of justice on stage, online, and in real life. So we're doing consultations with folks to make their work more accessible. We're helping folks out in moments of crisis where they themselves are trying to figure out how to negotiate out of a system where they're being oppressed. And we're also producing awesome art all the time. So many great shows. And I am a Black woman. I am a Black Buddhist, but I was also raised Christian. And also, I'm disabled. And also I'm queer. So that means I've been in a lot of spaces that weren't serving me. and I was uniquely positioned to understand how they weren't serving me. So I was in spaces where I was like, wow, how am I not being served as a woman? How is this space that's supposed to be about my Black liberation not actually serving that? And because I'm a woman, I was able to see it and witness it and feel it and talk about it. So that fiercely intersectional lens is something that comes to my practice. And how can you, I would love it if you visit ClaudiaAlec.com to visit my work. You can also go to my Facebook page, Claudia Alec, or my Twitter, Claudia Alec. The website for Calling Up Justice is scheduled to launch in November. And in the meantime, you can visit We Charge Genocide TV for that project. The every 28 hours plays for that project. What else do we have? Oh, we also have the Justice Quilt, justicequilt.org. I will put a bunch of links on the side so that y'all can check it out as well. And I invite you, when you're done doing your introductions, to also put your links in the chat so that we can amplify and boost. And at the end of this conversation, I might visit all the websites that people put into the chat. Check.
I'll take that on. Hopefully you guys can hear me well, even though there's sound in the studio. I'm calling you all. Is that good? Thumbs up if you can hear me and not do this. Okay. Great. So you hear the sound of struggle no, and celebration. I'm calling you all from the land of the Catawba and the Sugary people, or Charlotte, North Carolina. And we are here today in the home of the Nuva Soup Project. It's a social circus initiative that I'll be talking much about in a second. What can I say? My pronouns, I also want to say that I'm Puerto Rican, and I always bring forward my heritage as Taino descendant. So, and the Taino heritage in the island of Puerto Rico. And my pronouns are ellos. Also continue to pointing out that my first language is Spanish, and there's a ton of people in this country that have the same kind of that commonality. He is too. What can I say? Let me look at the questions over here in the script. My access needs are met, although I ask for permission, obviously, or consent for everybody that hopefully sound is not too disruptive as people are in an active creative space. Other than that, I'm here now, present and ready for the work. As my primary practice in terms of justice is with our troupe, where the Nuva Soup Project is a social circus initiative based here in Charlotte, and this is the studio and the artists that you are practicing and training behind me or in front of me. The main purpose of our mission is to actually unify, to bring people from the different sectors that are often segregated, culturally, socially, economically segregated, in a single practice that is the acrobatic language, to hopefully start asking the tough questions that we see that aim to kind of separate us in real life, and what is it that brings us together as people. There is a ton of work to be done, but I think by modeling the example of unity, we can serve also as catalysts to asking tougher questions for our city and our region in the southeastern United States, which is complex as it is in many ways. I am also, I before moving to Charlotte, I advocated primarily for the Latino community in the Pacific Northwest. And that's where, if you see a little bit of my work from Pelu Theater, is primarily addressing with physical theater issues of the Latino community. But right now I'm focusing primarily on what Nuva Soup is doing, which is what I mentioned before. I'm also a faculty member at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte, and I was recently appointed the Director of Diversity for the College of Arts and Architecture. So I'm gonna steer stuff up from the ground, addressing We have questions about anti-racist practices in academia, which I think turns to preserve white supremacy in many angles. And I think you have to rip the Band-Aid off from the bottom, steer it up, and ask questions about what is it that we're doing, what is it that we fear about doing anti-racist practices, what are we doing that is divisive in the classroom, and from there move forward for potential solutions that are sustainable. So that's kind of a little bit, very quickly, in a nutshell, what I do. Feel free to reach out in any of my links and my endeavors. I don't know if we have listed. I think Esther is that who is going next. So I'm happy to pass the microphone to Esther.
Thank you so much, Carlos. And as I was writing in the chat, I have a small window of opportunity before I might turn into a tiger, which is an access point for myself. I have a son who has needs, and his needs need to be met on his terms. So if that happens, that will happen, and you'll see something beautiful occur. But I would like to give a moment to first say thank you so much, Claudia, for sending me the email. I think of the work that you do often, and I am a co-founder and director of diversity, equity, and inclusion with the Journey Theater Project. And we actually have recently produced several of your 28-hour play workshops on Zoom out of a wonderful relationship that I had with you in November when you came to CUNY in New York City, which is where I am hailing from, the land of the Lenape and Canarsie people. And so I am super excited to be here in this space. I am a Black woman. My mother is white, my father is Black. I identify as a Black woman. I also have some lovely Blackfoot indigenous folk in me as well, which I am thrilled to have. But I am coming from a space as a mother and an advocate for her son with needs, as well as an advocate for all. I like to use the hashtag advocate like a mother for all, because I believe that mothers have real power and strength and can push boundaries and push perspectives and make changes, especially when they broaden outward from their own nucleus, their own family, and really use their strengths to be able to support and uplift everyone, hence the for all. I also am excited that the Journey Theater Project came out of getting our Applied Theater Masters from CUNY SPS program, and it was a beautiful marriage between some lovely women that wanted to build up communities and support them where they were at to be able to engage in conversations or growth or whatever their needs were. We worked across a lot of different sectors. We work in nonprofits. We work with religious organizations, in corporations. We do everything from consultations to going in and doing top to bottom restructuring of your organization. We also do a lot of workshops. In person was what we used to always do. Now everything, we're Zoom masters, which is exciting. But we are doing a lot of public workshops now where we talk about implicit bias, systemic racism, and courageous conversations. We kind of lump them together in a 6-hour workshop divided up over, say, 3 sessions. And this has just been a great way for us to be able to really engage in folks, meet them where they're at, use theater in a way that is unexpected, especially on Zoom, and help support them in getting educated and being able to have courageous conversations. So that's what I am excited about, and bringing my full self to this, fully committed all the time in Zoom COVID land that we are living in, as well as the racial pandemic that I also appreciate acknowledging the unrest and that feeling behind my ears, where that burning sensation where I literally feel like I am either getting in trouble for doing something wrong or about to do something really, really good all the time. So I'm living in that space, and I'm happy to, but it is a little nauseating at times. So I appreciate that. You can find us at you know, Instagram, Facebook, and our website, The Journey Theater Project. Although our LLC dropped the, but everything else is thejourneytheaterproject.com. The Journey Theater Project on Instagram. And you can find me at etc_Triggs on Instagram. And same with Facebook. It's all the same. So much love to everyone. I can mute myself and turn into a tiger.
Muted. I was muted. Hi, everyone. My name is Diane Burkholder, pronouns she, her, and I need to change it on my video. I wish they would actually stay like they're supposed to, but you have to put them in for each meeting. So there we go. So I am calling in from joining you all from Long Beach, also known as the Kizh and Tongva Nations. I recently moved back to Long Beach, where I went to college. I consider myself a half Californian, half Midwesterner. I was in Kansas City for 9 years and have been back for a total of about 6 weeks. So I'm still acclimating and getting used to everything. And I met both Grant and Jonathan through a possible project we were going to do that fell through, but I was really excited to be part of this conversation, getting to know folks that are doing creative-based work throughout the country. My background is Black and white, and I can't get any more specific than that. I'm queer. I've been activist-y most of my life, but became, more involved, particularly in college, with racial identity work when I finally had some words to understand the feelings that I had felt my entire life. And most of my practice has been in HIV, social services, advocacy. I do HIV criminalization work right now, and organizing mostly with Black and brown folk across the country. And so more recently, in the last 3 years, I've really been digging into working more in creative spaces. I am not full-time creative. It's something I say I dabble in, but my mother is a creative and had an art gallery, and creativeness and art is really what drives social movements. And I did police brutality work. I'm transitioning out, at least in Kansas City. I'm doing movement for Black Lives work. And so I just acknowledge that we are just, particularly Black folks, are just so damn tired. And so that's kind of where I'm at today. That's my accessibility need. I'm kind of zoomed out from the week. I'm glad to be in this space, but I'm not going to be on video as much as I normally am. I just need to recover. But I'm just so grateful to be in this space. I'll just end with, as a half community organizer, I'm equity consultant. That's what pays my bills, and try to bridge spaces together of academia, art institutions, nonprofits. And I'm really excited to teach a social justice class with the Upward Bound program at my alma mater starting next month. So it's really full circle moment for me, because I was in the TRIO program as an undergrad. And so I'm really excited to be here, and just gonna sit here and listen with my little auntie ears and absorb this stuff. I don't have a full website. It's just my LinkedIn right now. I need to get one, but on Facebook and on Twitter, my handle is Swirlina, and I can put that in the chat. So thank you all.
Hello, everyone. I can go next. This is Jasmine Young. I'm glad to be here with you all today, so thank you. I'm just going to go up. Okay, so pronoun, you can refer to me as her, she. Land acknowledgement, I'm actually calling from Houston, Texas. I recently, well, not fairly recently, back in February, relocated from the Chicago area to Houston. And so I am actually a global sales enablement leader and principal consultant at a company called HR & Co. And we're an end-to-end human resources provider and advisory services firm to growing organizations and government agencies. So we basically, help our clients maximize their business and people resources. And one of the areas that we've been really focused on over the last few months has been diversity, equity, inclusion, and allyship. And so we really design, we curate, we build, and we execute and have executed strategies and training to help companies and businesses with their DEIA initiatives. As a Black woman, Black and Asian, I'm actually mixed, and you know, woman as well, having experience in corporate America, you know, aware of experience inequities. You know, that's really coming from a place where, you know, that experience has translated into the passion that really drives behind the trainings and the execution that goes into the DEIA work that we do at HR & Co. What else can I share? Yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. You know, we really, like I said, lately it's been around DEIA, but we also provide other services in terms of talent optimization and really just helping develop people, right, of all races, gender, and really helping to optimize people and talent management across the board, and really create an inclusive environment and a best place to work for all. And that's my access check-in. I have a toddler and 7-month-old that's screaming in the background, so went out of order there, but that's pretty much me. You can get in touch with me. Website is www.hrandco.com or jasmine.young@hrandco.com, and I'll share that as well in the chat here. So thank you, and I'm going to go back to my photo. So thanks for having me.
Hello, everyone. My name is Grant Miller. I use they, them pronouns. I am calling from the traditional and unceded land of the Cathlamet, Tualatin, the Kalapuya Tualatin, Chinook peoples, as well as many other unnamed bands. I'm currently sitting indoors next to a fig tree that was likely planted by Italian immigrants who were displaced with Jewish immigrants from, I'm in a settler named Portland, Oregon. And the Italian and Jewish immigrants were displaced from Southwest Portland into the neighborhood that I'm in, which is part of what explains the fig tree that I'm literally can see outside my window right now. The state of Oregon was originally founded as a white utopia, and is a city, and Portland is a city that is currently dealing with a huge amount of racism and has been since its founding. And also wanting to just give acknowledgement to the indigenous leaders of the Confederated Tribes of the Grand Ronde, particularly, who experienced termination in the 1950s and reintegrated in the 1980s. So my access check-in is that I am speaking on behalf of the Curiosity Paradox. Jonathan, the other member of the Curiosity Paradox, has indicated that their access needs would prefer them to not give an introduction right now for our company, so I am doing that. So what is my justice practice? My justice practice is largely centered around disability equity and community organizing. We are in the process, Jonathan and I, of taking our separate independent consultancies and combining them into sort of a new consulting business. So I would just like to read some of the language that we are currently crafting right now. In talking about the Curiosity Paradox, the ways that predominantly white institutions require people to work, meet, and transfer power are driven by a bias towards white, work-ready bodies, meaning the most important decisions about the ways these institutions function are being designed without the contribution of multiply marginalized disabled people. We dream of a near future where gatekeepers consider redistributing their power amongst the people most impacted by their institutions. Through creatively led workshops, interactive artworks, and individual coaching, we support real and consistent access within organizations, communities, and our bodies. How does your marginalized experience inform your expertise? I am a white, disabled, queer, trans person, And as I would say that my marginalized experience as a disabled person who is assigned a disabled identity at birth has deeply informed how I do my work. I have a background in theater and performance, and also sort of like Diane, have an equity practice that is partly how I pay the bills. And as a marginalized person who's disabled, I have a particular vantage point about the ways that eugenics has sort of crafted a culture where disabled people are excluded, and where the voices, particularly of trans and POC and Indigenous and Black disabled people, are not included in designing the systems that create services on our behalf. And so a big part of my work is trying to recenter how disabled people are actively involved in the design of the processes that are created, rather than simply looking to state solutions, such as programs like the ADA, to create the much needed change and liberation that is needed for our people. And if you would like to connect with us more, I would encourage you to check out the Curiosity Paradox's new website at thecuriosityparadox.com, or email us at thecuriosityparadox@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us for this project. Has everyone had an opportunity to introduce themselves?
Hi, I joined just a few minutes ago, but I'd love to just share more about my role and my background and kind of.
Excellent. So thank you so much for joining us, Ronnie. So this is the exercise we're doing. If you look in the chat, there's a little list of questions to answer. We are so excited to get to know you.
Thank you so much. I'm reading the questions now. Land acknowledgement, access check-in is the only thing that I don't think I have a response for. But my name is Ronnie Braithwaite. My pronouns are he, him.
Ronnie, I'm going to interrupt you and talk you through it so that you know what we're doing.
Yeah, please.
So we ask for folks just to know what your gender pronoun is. We're doing a decolonized, so that's us doing a performative breaking up of gender oppression in the country, right? We ask folks to let us know, do a land acknowledgement, because that's us doing a decolonized beginning. So recognizing that where you're located is the land of indigenous folk. I usually take it as a moment to also acknowledge a moment in slavery or any of that, just that history of the country. So that's what that moment's about. But you can make anything you want, right? There's no script.
I see.
And the access check-in is us breaking down ableist culture that assumes that your access needs are being met, when really we need to assume that we have a space that's going to be responsive to you whenever you need them. So you can state access needs now, you can state them in the chat, you can state them whenever, whatever we can do to have this space more accessible to you. I stated a specific physical need. Someone else stated, I'm dealing with a child that might literally paint my face. I am here. So that's what that is.
Sure. Gotcha.
Thanks for joining us.
For sure. Thanks for that context. My name is Ronnie Braithwaite. My pronouns are he, him. I am currently based right now in Atlanta, Georgia. I do not have any disclaimers for like access needs. My justice practice stems largely on the Black American experience. So as a filmmaker who studied film in college and who's recently produced 3 different independent projects, I explore introspection of Black American identity. So I have a film out. My first short film was called Woke, and it was inspired by my experience going to the University of Miami and pledging a white fraternity and what that meant for my Blackness. And so the work since that film launching me into my career as an artist has been more so following stories of different Blacks that I have a connection with whether that be through like the independent, predominantly white high school that I went to, and following their stories of marginalization, and the predominantly white school in Atlanta, Georgia that I went to, or it being connecting with a student in grad school where I pursued my MBA at Clark Atlanta University, and unpacking her experiences and what it was like going to PWI and then go for undergrad and going to an HBCU for grad school. It's a lot of one-on-one interview work that I do, and recording just the introspection of Black American experiences and different experiences that put them in their place racially, and kind of working through what that liberatory consciousness looks like once you can unpack some of the things that we kind of hold and suppress to just get by every day. So that's like a lot of what I think, is justice, and the work of helping connect with other Black adolescents, realize their purpose outside of like kind of the systemic standard of excellence that kind of America paints of Black excellence. And it's really helping for Black people to understand kind of what aspirations they could possibly have outside of like a white systemic world. And so that's kind of the work that I do. I have a short film out on a platform called Seed and Spark, and I have 2 docu-series projects out on Instagram TV. And yeah, I'd love to drop some links. I'll just drop my website here. And yeah, I love to connect with you with all of you on your work, and learn more about the work that you guys do.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, now is the part of the call where I share my screen and we see how well I did. Ronnie, I just dropped a link to, we do some sort of digital shared platform stuff. So if you click on that link, you should be able to also put your name in, and it'll create this beautiful shared space. So that's where I'm going.
Perfect.
So this is
where
perfect. Folks have been just dropping links and names and different ways to connect to folks. That's going to live in shared garden, our Discord garden.
Thank you.
Then I end this section just saying, thank you so much, Justice Producers. The work that you are doing with the Journey Theater Project, the work that you are doing with Nouveau Sud Circus, the work that you are doing with HR and Co, the We Charge Genocide TV, the Every 28 Hours Plays, the Curiosity Paradox, with the film Woke, and I apologize, I didn't get your website up, Ronnie, but let's see if I can do it really quick. Oh, come on, computer. Bam! The work that you are all doing is what helps this country and this world be a place where we all get to live better. The injustice that we are living through was produced. It was done to us, and it's being done to us. And I am deeply aware that there are so many of us all over the country producing justice. And it is joyful and a pleasure and an honor to be able to share space with you and to uplift your practice. At this point, I'm going to hit stop on the recording, and the public doesn't get to hear our amazing conversation, but we're about to have one. Goodbye, public. But please check out these Justice Producers. They're amazing.